Hey guys, welcome to this World of Tanks video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new premium tank that's being brought into the game. This is a tier 8 Swedish medium tank. It's called the Lansen C. And this is going to be put into the game so that when the new tier 8 mediums come out, the 8, 9, and 10, which are branching off the Leo, you'll have a premium tank to be able to crew train in and get some games in. So for this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I played about 20 battles in this. I'll show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll give you my opinion on it, so hopefully you guys can make an informed decision on if you want to get it. And if you don't decide to get it, at least you'll kind of know what this tank is bringing to the battlefield, so when you fight one, you know what you need to do to beat it. My name is Voodoo. Let's jump right in. So first of all, I want to say that I think it is so cool that this tank comes with a custom skin. And I'm really excited to see the game going in this direction. Unfortunately, if you do want the skin that comes with this tank, you will have to buy it in a bundle, so you'll be getting other things you might not want. But still, this is a step in a cool direction. I love these add-ons to the game. And just so you guys know what I was playing with, my crew was okay. I had 6 cents, I had a couple of aiming perks, and I had a little bit of repairs. And I will leave a list of the equipment I use in the description. And let's jump right into some games. So we're going to start out with some close range gunfighting. We'll go into some medium range after that, and then some long range so you guys can see the gun in all of the different situations that you'll encounter in this tank. And when I first saw the tank in my garage, I thought, oh great, this thing looks like a Leo. I've been grinding it because I want to have a crew train for when the new tanks come out, and it has not been fun. So right away I was hesitant to play this. And I'll tell you right off the bat that the gun is definitely better than the Leo. If you play the Leo, that you'll know that the gun is very derpy. You miss a lot of shots that you feel like should have hit, and you just get robbed. And this tank definitely fixed that. It's not a laser beam cannon, but when you're in these close range situations, it's a very good gun. You're doing about 320 alpha standard, and if you shoot HE, you'll hit it for about 400, as you can see on the grill right here. Yeah, it's like 400. And it comes with about 208 penetration, and the premium shells I think around 240 or just under 250, which is good, but it doesn't allow you to blast through tanks with really good armor. You definitely need to play in positions where you can take advantage of angles or working with teammates to get people from the side, because otherwise you're really going to struggle in this tank because the accuracy makes it hard to hit the weak spots even with prem ammo. So we're going to transition into a little bit of mid-range shooting. And the thing with mid-range on this gun is you do have to be careful with your shots, because when you start to get into the mid-range, this is where the derpy factor kind of comes in with the aiming. And of course, the first set of clips I'm showing you here are the good ones, but that shot I just took on E50, totally will expect that to miss a lot of the time, because the first shot I took was kind of like half aimed. I didn't let it fully settle, and I just fired. And it will work sometimes, and you do have to take those shots, because if you fully aim and sit there long enough, you're just going to get hit. So it's better to take a chancy shot that might miss and not get hit than to fully aim and still maybe miss them. You never really know with this tank. So at mid-range, I did feel like this tank was pretty reliable. You definitely do need to work in situations where you're still not the primary attention of the enemy, because the armor on this tank isn't very good. So with a good combination of gun depression and the 320 alpha and pretty decent aim time, this tank does really well at a mid-range still. And it's when you get into more of the long-range clips that you're definitely going to struggle, because even sometimes at mid-range, this thing will still throw you for a loop. So we'll jump into some long range right here. So long range is where this gun starts to get really iffy. And what I'm showing here is a lot of the clips where the gun is working, and I will show after this the clips where the gun is definitely not working. And when you're at a long range, I mean, as much as possible, you know, in any tank that you're in, you want to try to fully aim. And this tank especially, because any time that you're not fully aimed, it kind of has like a T30 attribute, where if you've played the T30, you know that if you are 99% aimed and you fire early by 0.01 seconds, the shell will just die bomb sometimes. And that's what I was noticing with this tank a lot. And it was definitely frustrating, but I don't think it completely... I hit that shot well stunned. That was crazy. I don't think it totally takes away from the gun. It's still overall, I think, a good gun. So we're going to jump into some of the derpy clips here. And what you're going to notice with a lot of these clips is my aim will look pretty good. Except right here, I was testing the limits with the tank some of the time. That shot I just thought, well, let's just shoot and see what happens. Right there, I just thought, let's just shoot. I'm running anyways. But shots like this, where did the shell go on the bad chat? I don't know. Look at this. Where did the shell go on the RD? these are the shells I'm talking about, where you're not fully aimed right there on the UDES, and it just misses. Not fully aimed, maybe aimed a little bit behind, but it misses. And this starts to leave kind of like a bad flavor, where you get kind of mad at the tank because you feel like you deserve these shots to hit. And it's funny how I get so frustrated with it, and I'll be mad that that shot missed, and I'll get really tilted, and then the game will end and I'll have like 2300 damage. Why am I complaining when I have 2300 damage? So this is just good for you to see that as much as possible with this tank, you want to put yourself in situations where you can be shooting at less armored vehicles or getting side shots on tanks. In this clip right here on the KV2, if I was having to fight a good player and he's using good cover and I was having to try to cupola fight him, I wouldn't stand a chance. Because I aim these pretty well, and yeah, they just miss. And it's not all the time, it's some of the time. It was enough to be kind of frustrating. But like I said, I still had actually pretty good games in it overall. So I was definitely more happy than I was unhappy. Like, look at that on the bad chat. It's just, it was kind of crazy. So we're going to step away from the gun for a second. We're going to talk about my overall favorite thing with this thing. Definitely the mobility on this thing is insane. And what happens when you look at stats is you'll look at the stats and say, oh, it has only a top speed of 50 kilometers an hour. That's not very good. But what you have to pay attention to is that the specific power, the engine size, the engine horsepower compared to the weight is so good on this thing. It accelerates like a light tank. And that makes a really big deal when you're fighting. And it's something that you will often take for granted. And if you're in a heavy tank and you have to reposition, it could take you like 15 seconds to kind of rework your position and when you're micro positioning. But in this tank, you can do it so quick. And you can accelerate away from people around buildings and just make quick jumps. And it was so impressive. I couldn't believe it. It's kind of like a 4005 if you've ever played one, where you feel really fast until you hit your top speed and you're like, why am I going so slow? But overall, I really enjoyed the acceleration aspect of the mobility. And so my overall opinion on this tank is that I thought it was a fun tank to play, and I'm excited because it doesn't feel broken, but it feels good, which I think is a very good balance for wargaming to achieve in tanks like this. Because it's frustrating to me when tier 8 tanks kind of break the meta and you have to have a tier 8 tank to compete in strongholds. And I think that this is a tank that rides a line of, it's a good tank, but it's not broken. And if you get it, you will definitely enjoy it. Get wrecked. Outplayed. You'll definitely enjoy it. And I definitely enjoyed it because it feels rewarding to play. It takes some strategy, takes some patience, and you can have really good games. And the key to playing this tank well, I'm showing it this clip specifically so that you can see what it means to be a second line tank or a support tank. A lot of times people think that when you're a second line tank, you need to play like way in the back and you're sniping for people because you're second line. But that's not the case. What second line means is that I'm covering a teammate who is fighting the enemy. And so if the enemy shoots at my teammate, then I shoot at them because they're reloading. And that's the mentality that you have to get into with this tank. It kind of reminds me, and people might call this like blasphemy, but it kind of reminds me of like a tier 8 M46 pattern. And some people might say I'm doing it too much justice by saying that because the pattern is so loved by the community. And the only downside to this that kind of takes it away from that praise is the derpiness on the gun sometimes. So in this situation, and this is how you'll succeed in this tank, is if you get in a spot where you can cover a teammate, and I'm in bottom tier matchmaking, I ended up having a really good game. I'm allowing him to fight and I'm just covering him. I'm not doing it from the back. I just thought, well, I can just come in here and help him. This is the kind of thing that you need to look for in tanks like this, and you can have really good games. And if you get 357 matchmaking, you can still do well in it as kind of a frontline tank, but you can't just stiff arm the enemy and walk all over them. You need to play this delicately. That sounds so dumb to say, but it's very rewarding. I definitely liked it, and I do think that it's going to set a good stage for the new Swedish tanks that are coming into the game, because I don't think they have a lot of armor, and I think they rely on gun depression and just good alpha, and I think this is kind of just going to help prepare you for that, but it's not as miserable as like playing the Leo. So it might not feel like an overwhelming tank, but most of the tier 8 medium tanks aren't. If you look at statistics, I think this does have the second highest DPM compared to all of the other tier 8 premium tanks. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, which is really good. It has APCR premium ammo, which is awesome for perma-tracking people if they don't have a good repair speed, because you can damage them while tracking them, which is amazing. I love that feature. So a couple of downsides to this tank would be that the gun doesn't feel super clutch. Like if you remember back to the KV2 clips, where if you need to hit some clutch shots on people and you feel like you've aimed a lot and you feel like you deserve for the shot to hit and it just misses, and you better make sure that you're in a position where you're not going to get punished for that. So it does teach good gameplay, and I do think that it was fun to play. I definitely enjoyed it, and it would be worth getting. I would say this is worth a pickup. And I think Wargaming did a really good job at putting in a new tank that represents the new line that's coming out and represents something that's not overpowered but still like worth getting and fun to play. So just remember with this tank, even if you get it and you're missing those shots that you feel like you deserve to hit, don't get super frustrated, because a lot of times I did, and at the end of the game I was realizing, wow, I still have really good damage. And it was the same thing for me in the tier 8 Mill, where I hated the tank. I absolutely hated it. But I had a 70% win rate. And it wasn't until I looked at the win rate I thought, wow, okay, maybe I like this tank. Okay, I can't complain about that. So good luck to you guys in your battles. If you get this tank, good luck to you if you're fighting against it. Hopefully this video helps you to kind of see what this thing's all about. Make sure to check me out on Twitch. I'll leave my link in the description. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And good luck in your battles. I'll see you guys on the next one.